Booktube, it's Charlie from Reader Turned Writer. Today I am looking at the plot of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone and analyzing how JK Rowling executed on the beats from Save the Cat Writes a Novel. I loved Harry Potter as a child, I love Harry Potter as an adult, I will probably always love Harry Potter. And there are so many wonderful things that we can learn about writing from the way that JK Rowling has written Harry Potter. There are also some things that she didn't do perfectly, which is really encouraging since she is basically the most successful author of our time. I am really excited to dive in and look at some of the things that I wish she had done a little differently and look at all of the things that she executed so well on. I did want to say before I jump in that I would really love to hear whether you agree or disagree with my analysis down in the comments below. All of this is my opinion, but I'm going to skip saying things like I think or I identified this as or things like that just for ease of the video. One of your main jobs in Act 1 as an author is to make your reader root for your main character. In Harry Potter, the main way J.K. Rowling does this is by making Harry the underdog. His life is so terrible and he gets treated really poorly, and even when he gets to Hogwarts, he's put in a lot of unfair situations by people like Snape. She also makes us care about Harry by making him special. Not only does this set him apart, but it makes other people like him. Your second main job is to show how your character's life sucks because of their flaw. Harry's theme is acceptance, or belonging. He believes he doesn't belong anywhere and wants to find a place for himself as he goes throughout the novel. The one thing about the first Harry Potter book is that Harry only sort of has an arc. It's there, so it's not really a flat character arc, but it's also not a full-fledged arc, which is not uncommon in middle grade. I prefer arcs that are very fleshed out and very obvious. Harry's life is terrible while he's with the Dursleys. Everything we learn about his life there shows the reader how bad it is. It's not his fault, which is also pretty common in middle grade. However, I think that if J.K. Rowling had shown some of his problems to be caused by his flaw, it would have made a stronger character arc and given him more room for growth. The way that his theme is manifested during this beat is in the way that Harry doesn't really have a place of belonging. He doesn't belong with the Dursleys, who obviously hate him. He has no friends at school. There's really just no place for him to belong and no one that he can connect with. The first beat is the opening image, a one-scene snapshot of your character's life at the beginning of the story. In Harry Potter, this is Harry waking up in his cupboard and making breakfast for Dudley. We immediately get to see that he is sleeping in a cupboard, that his family does not love him or value him, and that he has regulated the majority of the chores while Dudley is spoiled. The next beat is the setup, multiple scenes letting us see the main character's life in more depth. This is all the time Harry spends with the Dursleys before finding out he is a wizard, including the zoo trip. We get to learn that Harry is bullied, has no friends, and we get to see more of how badly the Dursleys treat him. We also get to learn that Harry knows next to nothing about his parents. During the first part of your story, often during the setup, is the theme stated, where a side character implies to your main character what their internal problem or theme is. This happens a bit late in Act 1 for Harry. After getting all of his stuff from Diagon Alley, he confesses to Hagrid that even though people think he's special, he's worried that he's not. Hagrid tells him not to worry, that he just needs to be himself. The catalyst, or inciting incident, which happens to your main character and changes everything for them, comes at the end of Act 1. This is when Harry learns that he is a wizard. This is a great example of a catalyst that isn't a physical change. Nothing actually changes for Harry. He could stay with the Dursleys and go to the public school they were planning on, but how could he emotionally do that now that he knows the truth? How could he go back to what he had before when he knows something better awaits him? Speaking of better, it's also a great example of a catalyst that isn't something terrible happening. Often catalysts are terrible things, but in Harry's case, it's actually his ticket to a much better future than he was looking forward to 10 minutes earlier. It changes everything for him in a fantastic way. The debate beat, a scene that gives your main character a chance to digest what happened during the catalyst and decide what to do next, finishes off Act 1. This is a longer beat for Harry. It consists of the visit to Diagon Alley and the time spent at the Dursleys while waiting for school to start. During this time, not only is Harry gathering supplies and preparing physically to move into his new world, but he is also questioning what it will be like and how he will fit in there. Your main job of Act 2 is to give your reader the premise of the promise. For Harry Potter, this is Hogwarts. Harry gets to go to a wizarding school. And JK Rowling really delivers with the wizarding school. It is an amazing world. Your second job is to show your main character trying to solve their problem in the wrong way, or externally. This one was trickier for me to find, but I think that for Harry, this is that he relies on external things like his fame and his Quidditch talent at times to be accepted and to have inclusion. There's also the scene with the Mirror of Erised, which drives home his desire to belong, but gives it to him in a very artificial way. Despite the shallowness of it, he keeps coming back until Dumbledore steers him in a better direction. This is very symbolic of where he's at in his character arc. The first beat of Act 2 is Break into Two. This is one scene where your main character proactively chooses to enter Act 2. For Harry, this is him going through platform 9 3/4 and getting on the train to Hogwarts. B story, another one scene beat at the beginning of Act 2, is next. This is where your main character meets the character or characters who will help them to complete their character arc. This happens on the train for Harry. Harry's main B story characters are Ron and Hermione, although Hagrid is also one, and Malfoy. The next beat is Fun and Games. This is where your character gets to do what is promised in the blurb. You can have your character flourish or flounder here. Harry flourishes, having an upward trend during Fun and Games. He makes new friends, does well in his classes, defeats the troll, and joins the Quidditch team and wins the game for his house. He has ups and downs, but overall he does well in his Act 2 world. Fun and Games leads to the midpoint, the middle of your story. This is where the stakes are raised. I identified this as Harry's first Quidditch game, when he catches the snitch and wins his first game despite his broom trying to buck him off. He feels it's a victory because he has finally proven that he should be accepted, above something that has happened to him as a baby that he can't even remember. The stakes are raised as now they are sure that Snape is after the stone and is out to get Harry because Harry saw Snape's bloody leg. Hagrid also gives them the clue about Nicholas Flamel, which they need in order to discover what is in the grubby little package. That pivot brings us to Act 2B. Bad Guys Close In is the next beat, keeping the tension building and highlighting the fact that the main character still needs to solve their internal problems. Whether your main character is flourishing or floundering now depends on what you did in Act 2A. It will be the opposite. For Harry, he is now floundering, the opposite of Act 2A. He finds the Mirror of Erised. He can't find out who Nicholas Flamel is. Their exams are coming up, so they have tons of homework. Hagrid is hiding a dragon, and then they get caught after sending off the dragon, and he loses all those points, and the entire school turns against him, and he gets detention. The bad guys are closing in, with Snape trying to force Quirrell into telling him how to get past Fluffy, with Harry actually discovering what Fluffy is guarding, and with them discovering that Voldemort is actually the one trying to get the stone. This tension all climaxes at the next beat, the all is lost moment where the worst thing that could happen in the story happens. The all is lost for Harry is when he discovers that Voldemort is the one trying to get the stone. There's a whiff of death, with the unicorn, the most innocent of creatures, dying to keep another alive. And it's terrible for Harry because not only would Voldemort coming back counter what his parents sacrificed for him and end with Harry's death, but Voldemort would take over and take away the new wizarding family that Harry is now surrounded by. This is not the strongest all is lost. I actually think the all is lost for his character arc happens separately, as he is caught taking Norbert up to the tower and loses all the points. This causes the whole school to turn against him, even his Quidditch team, taking away the belonging that he's gained throughout the book up to that point. After the all is lost, your character needs a dark night of the soul, or some time to wallow about the horrible things that happened, and then have an epiphany about what to do next. Harry's dark night of the soul is when his scar is hurting him and he's sure it's because of Voldemort, as he's taking his exams. His epiphany comes as he is out by the lake with Hermione and Ron after exams. He realizes that Voldemort knows how to get past Fluffy and learns that Dumbledore is gone. He knows that they will try and get the stone that very night. His epiphany for his character arc is that stopping Voldemort is worth any sacrifice, even one of belonging. This pushes your main character into Act 3, where you get to deliver on everything you've built up in the previous acts. The first beat is Break into 3, where your main character proactively moves into Act 3. This is when Harry, Ron, and Hermione get past Neville and go to the corridor on the 3rd floor. The next beat is the finale, or Storm the Castle. For Harry, storming the castle means trying to get the stone before Voldemort does. Storm the Castle is broken up into 5 subbeats. The first of these is Gather the Team, where our main character gathers help in the form of friends and any supplies for Storm the Castle. This is when Hermione and Ron tell him that they are coming with him. They also get the cloak and the flute ready. The next subbeat is Execute the Plan. This is when they actually go through the trapdoor and have to get past all of the challenges. The Hightower Surprise is an unexpected barrier to their plan that forces the main character to prove their character arc. This happens after the B-Story Sacrifice, where Ron and Hermione sacrifice themselves for the greater good, leaving Harry to face the final challenge on his own. The Hightower Surprise is when Harry learns that it was in fact Quirrell and not Snape, and that Quirrell has Voldemort on the back of his head. The Dig Down Deep is when your character digs into themselves, proving to the reader that they have actually changed and completed their character arc. And then they execute the new plan, which is when they actually act on their Dig Down Deep. Harry's Dig Down Deep is when Harry looks into the mirror, and instead of seeing his parents in the mirror, he sees himself finding the stone. This would have been a really good place to reinforce Harry's change, maybe by having him see his parents first, or even wanting to see them, but then focusing on the stone because he knows it's more important to get the stone from Voldemort than it is to belong. There wasn't really a strong focus on Harry's change in this beat. Harry executes the new plan by holding onto Quirrell to keep him from getting the stone, despite the pain in his head. Alexa Dunn's extra beat, the Calm After the Storm, is a beat that allows the reader and characters to take a breath after everything that just happened. For Harry, this is when he is in the hospital, talking with Dumbledore, Ron and Hermione, and Hagrid. The closing image is the final beat, mirroring the opening image and showing us that now that our main character has completed their character arc and made those internal changes, their life is good. For Harry, this is the feast, when he and his friends are awarded the points that win Gryffindor the House Cup. Harry is surrounded by friends, the school no longer shuns him, and he has stopped Voldemort. He has had every victory he could. He even has a summer of visiting friends and another year of Hogwarts to look forward to. He has a place of belonging, and life is good. That was my analysis of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Let me know in the comments below what you think of it, any points that you agree or disagree on. If you liked this video, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe for more content like this. Thank you so much for watching my video. I will see you in the next one.